Hi there, this is Aaron Green. I've been practicing occupational medicine for about 30 years, and I've had the privilege of seeing many people in different occupations. And one of the things that I've noticed over time that many times it's not a matter of lack of exercise or a matter of even their diet that's bothering them, but rather what's eating them is more of the problem. And in terms of what's eating them is what's causing a lot of negative feelings and pessimism. And that's why I'm excited about the Responder Strong program, because one of the pillars of its program is optimism as one of the means for developing resiliency.
Yeah, the other misconception around optimism is that in order to be optimistic, that you really have to have a pessimistic kind of a way of viewing things, that is a requirement in order to get through the situation. Well, the fact is that both optimistic and pessimistic individuals can have an assessment of things as real, but how do they process it and how do they act on what they perceive as real? So the optimist tends to see things as temporal, that they can affect change over time, that things can look better if there's some intervention, if there's tools, if there's support. They just see things as something that can be overcome, as opposed to a pessimistic view, which kind of sees things as a threat, so they withdraw, they see things as static and permanent, and are less likely to intervene because they're insulated with the thought that this is a permanent kind of condition. And the other, I'd say, misconception about optimism is that optimism is just really leads to weakness, because you're depending on something that's overly sugar-coated, optimistic, Pollyannic, and where in actuality the fact is that people that are optimistic actually have a wide spectrum of flexibility in their mental and emotional capacity, to handle circumstances. So what are some of the benefits of optimism? So optimism is something that enhances our ability to identify problems. And if we can identify problems, then we can go about the business of solving them and resolving them. So it allows us to be a little more objective about what are the problems. It also increases our likelihood of viewing our situations, again, as just as a challenge and not a threat, and being able to approach things accordingly. It improves our ability to identify and control the input, because we're being intentional in our efforts to overcome them, not just passive and accepting that this is our stake, but rather being more active. The optimism gives us a tendency to act more. It also increases our tendency to look for solutions. Again, to be proactive, in the process, and it also gives us just more positive emotions and about things and how we view situations. So the bottom line is that optimism leads to more productive and beneficial behaviors. And how does optimism support resiliency and helping us to cope with stress more effectively? Well, it does it primarily by us enhancing our level of functioning when we're dealing with stress. And it does this by impacting how we view the future. We're not just viewing the present situation. We're able to embrace an idea that the future will be brighter than today. And also by creating social support systems that help us, because one of the problems with pessimism and negativity is that when it becomes insulated with our own kind of reinforcements of those feelings, it becomes more difficult to get beyond them, because we're continuing to only see it with the negative energy. So people who have optimism have a much greater sense of satisfaction in life. I think there's some studies that have even shown that people tend to have better cardiovascular outcomes, in terms of hypertension control, have a better sense of their own satisfaction with themselves, as well as being able to address circumstances in a way that doesn't overcome their functioning. They can continue to function and don't just go into a kind of a shutdown mode. And the increased optimism can also have a buffering effect on depression and anxiety as well.